Oh. Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Blaze. I'm Jenna Blum, one of the co-founders of The Blaze, and tonight I am joined by our debut Spotlight host, Ellen Commissar, and our woman who does everything, Karen Belovich, who organizes our schedule and is a producer and does our newsletter. And basically, if you enjoy anything about The Blaze, it is because of Karen. So thank you both for being here for our Blaze pop-up book buying holiday bash.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I love these book clubs. So if you are new to The Blaze, welcome. We are a team of about 30 creative professional volunteers dedicated to linking writers and their new publications with readers. We started in COVID. Obviously, we're way beyond that now and tend to go on forever like cats. If you like what you see here, please give us a like or a follow on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, which I refuse to call X, on Substack. We are ubiquitous, and please consider signing up for our newsletter at www.amightyblaze.com so you never have literary FOMO ever again. No more FOMO. Nobody likes that. And tonight, all of the books that we're going to be recommending that we loved in the past year and that we're looking forward to in the next year so you can make your TBR stacks grow and grow and grow and grow. You can buy in our stall on bookshop.org, where every purchase you make supports independent bookstores. And if you are a book listener like I am, because I have a black lab who I walk a lot, you can make purchases likewise on Libro, our partner, where every Audible book you buy or audiobook you buy supports independent bookstores. So, all right, ladies, who wants to go first recommending the books that you most loved this year? Fight.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Karen.
Okay. Karen. So I've got a couple here. So my first one is called The White Python World Tour by Travis Kennedy. And this book was just a blast. It was so fun. And if you're just looking for a gift for someone who just enjoys a really great read, really fun, loves to laugh, this is a good one. Takes place in the 1980s, and it's about a 22-year-old guy in LA who's trying to become a rock star, and he joins the White Python band. But unbeknownst to him, he's also like, and unintentionally, he's like a spy. Like a spy for the Russians. So it gets into all kinds of stuff, but it's really fun. And it has like song lyrics too. And it describes like music videos. So if you're into the 80s and music, this is really fun. My next book is The Book of Lost Hours by Heli Gelfuso. And this is a really nice, if you like magical realism, this is a great book. And so if you love the Midnight Library or the Ministry of Time, this book explores time, memory, and what we sacrifice to protect those we love. So again, if you really like magical realism, there's like a magical library that holds memories of people in this book, and I really enjoyed that. So this is another great suggestion. Now I've got a thriller, Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister, and she is so great. I just love her. This book just really grabbed me from the beginning, and it's about a woman who's wakes up one morning. She's got her husband, she's got her kid, and her husband leaves for the day, and all of a sudden he's involved. He's like accused of a crime, and he's holding people at gunpoint, and it turns into this whole thing. But it's fast paced. It keeps your attention, and she's just really a great thriller writer. So The Famous Last Words. My next book, I really loved, Tilt by Emma T. Yeah, it's a short book, but it just grabs you. And it's about a woman who is pregnant, and she's at IKEA. She's shopping for her baby cribs and stuff. And all of a sudden there's a massive, massive earthquake. And she has to find her way through the city to find her husband. But the only way she can do that is walk. And it's hot, and she's pregnant. And it's just, her journey is really amazing. And it's an unforgettable story.
Wait, Karen, I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that book to your friends in California? Because I have so many friends in California, and I loved Tilt, and I was like,
yeah.
I No, we're
I
fighting.
don't know. Yeah,
In California.
yeah, but it's so good though.
Little earthquake trigger warning there, but
Right.
it's a great
Yes,
book. Right?
definitely. I've got a few more books. The Missing Pages by Ellison Richmond. And Jenna interviewed her, and she was so super sweet and nice, and we both love this book. Just amazing story. It's a ghost story. It's a love story. It's a testament to the healing power of books. And run right out and get this if you have someone who really loves a really great fiction novel. This is a perfect gift. Okay, a couple more. This book I just read, and it's called The Gales of November, The Untold Story of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Oh, cool.
So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So I'm in the Great Lakes area. And so this is a nonfiction book about the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald in like 1970s. And it went down in Lake Superior during a storm in November. And 29 men perished. And it's just the story of the Great Lakes, it's the story of the shipping business on the Great Lakes. It delves into big history. It also describes the men and their lives. And it's very touching. It's very powerful. If you have someone who really likes history or in the Great Lakes area, this is a very good book as well.
You have to sing the Gordon Lightfoot song all the time?
That's featured in this book.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, actually.
Yeah, it's a good song. I love that song.
That now, Ellen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fine.
Okay, I've got two more.
Great.
This one I believe just came out. Let's call it the Savoy. And this is another kind of really fun, it'd be a great book club book. It's about a girl who, when she was in college, her parents passed away, and also something else bad happened to her. And she kind of lost track. She was a writer, and she's kind of been lost. And she has to go to the Savoy Hotel to be with her sister who's pregnant. And it takes place mostly in the Savoy Hotel. And there's a lot of history about the hotel, and about the real life first female bartender is also featured. So it's a great reflection on the Savoy, a great reflection on the first female bartender at the Savoy. And this story is just really touching about two sisters.
Nice.
And here's one I'm looking forward to coming out next year. The Library After Dark by Andy Puligo. I read her first book. I'm sorry, I don't remember it, but I read her first book, and that one was really great. So this will be a really great mystery. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Nice.
And I'm also looking forward to this one. So,
thank you. That looks oddly familiar to me.
Yes. We're all excited for Jenna's book coming out on January 13th. I'll plug it for you. We're super excited. Congratulations, Jenna. All right.
Thank you.
I read it last week in the advanced reader's copy, which Jenna was gracious enough to send me. It was a great companion on my cruise, and it's riveting, and it's sexy, and it's fun, and just like Jenna.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Can I put that on a t-shirt and also on the book?
Just like Jenna.
Just like Jenna. Yeah, exactly. Karen, I will send you. Did I send you one? I should send you one.
Yes, I would love one. Thank you.
Okay, good. So books are out this week, you guys. Like my publicist said to me yesterday, we have some books. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have the books already? And she said, yes, do you want me to send them to you? And I was like, yeah. I mean, it's just a strange moment to hold the thing that you made with your head in your hands. Mm-hmm. There's something really magical and really weird about it at the same time. So I will be passing one of those to you, Karen. And Ellen is hosting me in Florida at a book club. So
nice. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. Exciting. And Karen, I will see you in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, yes.
Yes. All right. So I will continue pouring myself out momentarily, but first I'm going to pass the mic over to Ellen so that she can recommend her favorites of 25 and what her most anticipated of 26.
Okay. Well, I have a couple that are not debuts because I do read beyond that. One of the first ones is called How to Read a Book by Monica Wood. And this is like the worst title for the best book ever award, because it is about how to read a book. It's about a woman who's a retired English teacher who's his house is starting to become an empty nest, and she's a little disgruntled and not sure how that's going to work for her. And she starts going to a prison to lead a book discussion writing group for prisoners, mostly women. And they are they go in the group, and you sort of see that whole book discussion, and it's a very interesting dynamic. Mm-hmm. And so we have the story of Violet, who's one of the women in the prison who was there for a drunk driving accident that killed somebody. And then we have Frank, who is connected to both women in ways I won't disclose, but he is a retired machinist. And this is the story of the three of them. And it's told from each of their perspectives. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. It will stay with you. It'll make you think about consequences of things that seem minor at the time. Don't let the title dissuade you. It's just a gorgeous book. And some of it takes place in a bookstore. Part of the reason it's beautiful. One of the other non-debuts I read, I don't have a picture of it, is The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong, who is often thought about primarily as a poet. And this book is about a place called Gladness with a young immigrant boy who is stopped from suiciding off a bridge by an elderly, I believe, Lithuanian woman. I might be getting that wrong. I read it a long time ago. And he kind of moves in with her and becomes a caretaker, but he's also working at a fast casual restaurant. And you see sort of this societal look from his perspective and from others of what it's like to be this young immigrant who's trying to find his way, who's smart, but doesn't have his bearings yet. And he's in this town, and he's sort of jumping between his life at the restaurant and the people he's working with and their crazy lives, and then going back to this home of this woman who's got some dementia and some confusion, and taking care of her and dealing with her actual son. It's a really fascinating book. It's beautifully written. It takes a little bit to get into till you figure out who's who, but it's completely worthwhile. A couple others. The English Problem by Bina Kamlani. This was one of the first interviews I did in 2025. And it is actually the podcast that just happens to be coming out today, thanks to Trisha Blanchett. And you can find it wherever you go on to find your podcasts. And Bina, first of all, was Saul Bellows' editor, which is amazing in and of itself. And she's a bit of a Homeric scholar. And this book takes you on a bit of a Homeric journey, following a young boy right in the mid-40s who gets sent from India, the country, to England so he can learn what the English legal system is like, so he can then come back to India and help fight for independence from the British. And it's a beautiful story. This boy has met Gandhi, who has been sort of taken by him. It has a lot of real life characters, though it is based in part on Bina Kamlani's own uncle or great uncle. It has lots of twists and surprises. Most of the book takes place in London, which is like an extra character all unto itself. And it's just a beautiful book of journeys and growth. And there's a big surprise in the middle, which I won't give away, but it just so captivated me. And it it's not that distant a history, and yet it feels rich, and it was great to be reminded of it. And the other book that I cannot stop talking about, Boy from the North Country, Sam Sussman, who wrote an article, an essay in Harper's that came out many years ago, in which he disclosed that for various reasons, he suspected that he might be Bob Dylan's biological child. And it's about, in this essay, he talks about how his mother had an affair with Bob Dylan, as apparently many women did, in New York, and was in an art class with him. And some of the songs he wrote were presumably written in the same apartment, et cetera, et cetera. So he wrote this essay, which immediately caught the attention of publishers. He then said, leave me alone. I am writing this book by myself. I don't want your influence. I don't want to be rushed. So he wrote this book, which is a novel, but it is very closely aligned with his own story. But it's not just the story about his potential relationship with Bob Dylan, but also about his growing relationship with his mother and how he takes care of her during some trying times. And it's sad and it's beautiful, and it just talks about identity. And it's just really cool. And it's cool to sort of think about how he took his own life story, which was fascinating, and then fictionalized it enough to make a novel that really works. And the weird thing is, he really kind of looks like Dylan. I'll show you the picture.
Mm-hmm.
He really looks like Dylan, and he has a low sort of speaking style, whether it's an affect or his natural speaking style. I was afraid to ask him, but it was, it's just a really cool book. So I recommend it. And he's going around on a lot of speaking tours right now. So maybe you will find him somewhere close to you. In terms of books, I'm going to leave one for Jenna. In terms of books I'm looking forward to, another Blazer has out The Stargazer of Nantucket.
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you have this. Thank you. That's so great.
So that's by Julie Gerstenblatt, who wrote The Daughters of Nantucket, which was a fabulous debut about the wife and families of marine shippers, people who were out at sea and who were going off for long periods of time in Nantucket as whalers, et cetera, and what was happening back in Nantucket, which included a devastating fire. So it's that one was historical fiction. I believe this one is too. So it's an area of the world that Julie is in love with and she knows dearly, and she will make you want to go to Nantucket for sure. And then, the other one that I'm really looking forward to, and this is going to be a shameless plug. So if anybody out there is connected to Jeanette McCurdy of iCarly fame, and who wrote the fabulous memoir, I'm Glad My Mother Died. I'm Glad My Mom Died, which is just an incredible memoir about her growing up as a child of Hollywood and in a very dysfunctional family in a very under poor circumstances. She wasn't really well supervised on set and was subject, therefore, to some really bad behavior from some adults who should have known better. She now has, interestingly, a new book called Half His Age coming out. I'm hoping I'm going to push on this one to see if I can't get her on Debut Spotlight. It is a book that has a familiar story. It's about a girl in high school who falls madly in love with one of her teachers. And I don't know much more about that, but I'm betting that this is going to be as beautifully written as the memoir was. So I'm really hoping somebody has some strings and will pull them on my behalf and on behalf of the Blaze, because we'd love to bring her to you.
We would. What about Judy Blume?
Judy Blume. Well, I'd like to get her. I was hoping to go see her when I was in Key West last week, and I made a special venture out to her bookstore, only to find out that she only works certain days, and the day I showed up was not one of them. Apparently she doesn't really tell the staff when she's going to be there, but they were very sweet. I did leave her a note to wish her hello from the Blaze, where she has appeared a couple of times. If you're ever in Key West, it's a very beautiful bookstore. And I did put it out on Instagram that I had missed her. And immediately one of my friends from high school wrote me back to say that when she was there, she met Judy Blume, who was totally gracious and gave her a great book recommendation. So always happy to plug a good bookstore. And the other book that I didn't mention, I didn't pull a cover of, that I just read, is called These Precious Days by Ann Patchett, another great author, great bookstore owner. And it's a book of beautiful essays that really make you feel like you know Ann Patchett even more than you think you know her from reading her books. So I'll recommend that as well.
I love Ann Patchett's essays. I think This is a heretical opinion, so don't quote me. Glad that it's, being said in public, but I like them better than her fiction.
Interesting.
Discuss.
I think I like them equally, but that's okay. No, her essays were gorgeous, and she has this incredible essay about Tom Hanks' assistant, who she discovers is ill, and they welcome her into their home, and Anne Patchett becomes the fourth or fifth sister to this woman, and it's a stunning essay of empathy and warmth, and just, but that among others, it's a beautiful book. If you like essays, I listened to it, and if you get the audiobook, you can, it's Anne Patchett reads it, so it's very nice.
That's great. Nice.
That's it for me.
Okay. I have books that I have forgotten to put in our stall, so that's always good. But the run up to publication is always a little wacky, so I am kind of flying by the seat of my pants right now. However, I have found some time to read, and the first couple of books are, from my own imprint. One is by an author I had the great privilege to interview this year, Wreck, by Catherine Newman, which is not necessarily a sequel to her book Sandwich, but kind of is a sequel to her book Sandwich. If you loved Sandwich, which is about a woman in the sandwich generation, Rocky, who is on vacation with her family in Sandwich, Massachusetts, on the Cape with her kids and her husband and her parents. And one of the things that I love so much about Catherine Newman is she's really freaking funny. She kind of reminds me, and I said this to her when we were having our conversation, she's a little bit like Elizabeth Berg, who's one of my favorite writers of all time. She's like my comfort food writer. And I don't think she has had anything out recently. I also interviewed Elizabeth for The Blaze, but she's had 25, 26, 28, 30 New York Times bestsellers because she writes so beautifully about the ordinary things of life with great love and tenderness and humor. And her eye is kind of on the sparrow. And I feel like Catherine Newman is the same way. She writes about everyday things with such tenderness and such passion, but it's just so freaking funny. So if you loved Sandwich, you will love Wreck because it also is about Rocky. Rocky is back. She's struggling with menopause. She's struggling with being cranky as she always is. She's also struggling with the death of a young person in her town that has a surprising reverberating effect for people in her own family. So, and there are passages in this book that literally made me cry with laughter. And so if you are in the mood to cry with laughter and to read a great domestic drama, you should definitely read Wreck. And also watch the interview on The Blaze if you want some behind the scenes. Catherine and I also share an editor at Harper Books, incomparable Sarah Nelson. And so we got to spill some tea on that interview, which was super fun. So that's
a great interview.
My first Wreck is Wreck. Thank you. It was so fun. I fangirled on her so much. I'm sure she thought I was literally insane, and I was totally unrepentant about it. So, and she's also very self-effacing and very modest and funny, and told a great story about how she chose her outfit to go on GMA with Wreck because Wreck is the Good Morning America book pick as well. And she's like, I had to get this pioneer dress because I didn't have any other dresses, and it was green, and people were like, don't wear that. And they put me in these fancy clothes, and I said, no, I'm going to wear my green, weird pioneer dress with boots. So you can also watch Catherine Newman on YouTube on Good Morning America talking about Wreck. So it was good vibes all around. Good vibes. And then slightly sadder vibes also from Harper Books. Some Bright Nowhere from Ann Packer. This is the Oprah pick this month. Sorry, did I say? Yeah, Ann Packer. Yes, not Ann Patchett, Ann Packer. All the Anns, they just take over the literary world. Caroline just interviewed Ann Packer about this book, my co-founder and co-partner in crime here at The Blaze, Caroline Levitt. She just interviewed Ann about this. So if you want, again, the behind the scenes, you can look up that interview in our YouTube library. But this book it's very, very sad. I don't know how many of you are already Ann Packer fans and remember Dive from Clausen's Pier, which I read in the late 90s and was obsessed with because it was about a woman who's unfianced to a man who dives off a pier, a young man. They're both in their 20s, and he breaks his neck. And he survives, but he's a quadriplegic. She is not sure that she's in love with him before the accident. And so she was about to break up with him when he does this dive. And then she envisions a life being trapped with him and runs off to New York. and then surprising things happen. And I won't tell you what she does, but I thought, what a great, seemingly simple premise to write a book about like one moral decision and how it shapes you. And this book similarly is about a man named Elliot whose wife is dying of cancer. Her name is Claire. And she has an ask of him, like an end of life ask, that is really surprising to him and surprising to the reader. And the way he handles it is very sweet and very tough, I think, in some ways to read, because it puts you in his position and asks, would you do the same thing if somebody you loved asked you something at the end of her life that was really, really hard? Would you be able to do it? And would you do it? And why? So this is like something for readers who love other Ann Packer books, but also who love Ann Tyler. I feel like Elliot reminds me a lot of the Ann Tyler characters, and it's just a really well-written, really lovely, accessible book about people going through something hard with a lot of grace. Then here's the one that I
seem to be having some technical difficulties.
Oh,
so
we are?
bear with us as we freeze and unfreeze.
Am I
I think
frozen?
so. On my end, right now, yes, but you weren't before. But we're having a few audio and technical moments. At least I am.
Karen, can you hear me?
You look fine to me, Jenna.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Audience members, if you wouldn't mind just like shouting out in the chat whether or not you can see me, because if not, then I will. Nobody likes a frozen Jenna, so I can always go out of the room and come back into the broadcast studio, but just let us know. How is it now, Karen?
You're fine. I haven't noticed you freezing at all. I could hear everything you were saying.
Maybe it's just on my end.
I can hear you, Ellen. I see you. So it's never a dull moment.
Okay.
Otherwise, I used to go through this all the time, you guys.
No.
Especially in the early days when we were like Zooming to Facebook. Oh my God, it's totally crazy. We were doing like an Erica Jong interview and we couldn't stream to Facebook, and that was a delicious mortification. Thank you for letting us know that you can see us and things are going fine. So I will keep going, and Ellen, hopefully I will be thawing for you soon. Meanwhile, I interviewed Christina Baker-Klein and Ann Burt, this wonderful co-writing team, about their first thriller together called Please Don't Lie. And it's the first of a series of what they call the Virgin River. Is it Virgin River? Is it? Oh my God, I'm going to misquote this. I want to say the town is called Virgin River, but I think that's actually a TV show. But anyway, this young woman from New York moves to a secluded area in the Berkshires with her new husband, and things get really, really strange from there. And she finds out secrets about him that tie into a tragedy that she has had in her past. And she also makes friends with a woman in this new wooded area that may or may not be as cool as she seems. And one of the reasons that I love this book so much is that it's written by Christina Baker-Klein, who we know as an author of fine historical fiction, like The Exiles, that she's working with Ann Burt, who also has a great reputation as a literary fiction author in her own right. And I was fascinated by, how do you write a book together without killing each other? Like, this always interests me. And listening to the two women talk about the sisterhood of how they kick their ideas back and forth actually strengthened my yearning then to be in a creative partnership, because it sounds like twice the fun and half the difficulty of coming up with a story. So I know they're hard at work on a sequel to Please Don't Lie. The other reason I love this book is that I was reading it because it's a thriller, and I do read thrillers because apparently now I write thrillers. But I was reading it partly for the enjoyment of the sort of almost trad wife fantasy that the young heroine in this book, Haley, has of moving away from New York and going to a simpler country life. And a lot of the book is about that, and I found it immensely soothing. It was like getting into a cashmere wrap or something and just saying, okay, I'm going out to a place where there's not so much urban stimulation. I'm just moving out here with my handsome husband. I hope everything is going to be okay. I'm going to pick flowers from our field and dry them on the table, and I'm going to learn how to cook, and I'm going to wear these great boots and so on. And then things go like wah, wah, off the shelf in a really disturbing way. So if you like thrillers, I highly recommend Please Don't Lie. And again, if you want to spill the tea moment, you can watch the interview with these two. They were terrific. I don't have this book because I lent it out to a friend, but Sarah McCoy's Whatever Happened to Lori Lovely is an amazing book. I wish I had had the thought to like pull up a screen grab on my phone that it's Sarah's latest novel. It is about a young woman who leaves Hollywood at the peak of her stardom and becomes a nun. I know Ellen is pulling it up right now because she's cool like that. And the book is about why would you do that? And the thing that's so amazing to me about Whatever Happened to Lori Lovely is that the movie part, the Hollywood part, which is so crazy convincing, the movie part takes place in Hollywood, London, and Italy. It's so convincing and it's just as glamorous as you would think it is. And then the part about being a nun, you got it. There it is. Whatever Happened to Lori Lovely. The part about being a nun is just as interesting. Like, those are salty nuns, y'all. They are salty. So if you enjoy any book about Hollywood, if you enjoy a book about what would make a person suddenly swerve out of what looks to be a very successful life, a book about secrets, very satisfying ending, then you will love Whatever Happened to Lori Lovely. And
that
now,
was a great interview as well. Oh my gosh, you guys
That was a fun interview.
Thank you. Right. I mean, Sarah and I are dear friends. So that was kind of like a slumber party on the Blaze. That was super fun. And I interviewed her. I had the great privilege of interviewing her in person for her launch at an Unlikely Story bookstore here in Massachusetts, which is a phenomenally enchanted bookstore. And it was so fun. I was surprised we even got any talk done about the book because we know each other like so well. So yes, if you want a sort of giggly, like sisters in crime interview, you can watch that one. The Correspondent is a book that I have not interviewed the author of, and I have not even read this book yet. So why am I recommending this as one of my favorite books of 25? It's because of the story behind this book. I know many of you have read The Correspondent. I'll be interested in your comments in the chat. I know Ellen has read it, so I'm going to look forward to her review. But
I also interviewed Virginia in early May, about a week after publication. I asked for it really early in the year because I started reading it, was just smitten by it. And first of all, Virginia Evans is delightful, just as a person, and how she went and got an MFA overseas, and her husband went along with her, and they moved their whole family, which is just this incredible support system. But that was in May, and nobody was talking about this book. And this book grew from word of mouth, piece by piece by piece. And I believe for the first time in either late October or early November, all of a sudden, she burst onto the New York Times bestsellers list. There have been profiles of her in The Guardian. The Wall Street Journal wrote a huge piece about her. And all of a sudden, I mean, she was doing she was calling into book clubs. She in fact did one for our mutual friend Sarah Jane, and which was lovely, and she was just delightful. And that was sometime in the spring. And at some point, without even knowing that she was about to be on the bestsellers list, another friend said, "Gee, do you know any authors who would, come in and do a Zoom in?" And I said, she might. And I sent her this really nice little note. "Hey, any chance you could do one for my friend?" And then she answered very sweetly, "Gee, if I did these as many times as I was asked, I would never see my children. Everybody's asking for me." And I didn't think anything of it. And then the next minute, I see that she's on the bestsellers list, which of course explains why she couldn't do any private events.
You feel like a star maker, Ellen?
I do. She's one of my big coups. Like, there's some authors where they are big and you're lucky to get them. Hey, Jeanette McCurdy, come to me. But then there are other people like Virginia Evans, who is just busy working her stuff, working her craft. And I am very thrilled that I found her early. I won't take credit for it because it's the book that is doing it. I mean, it's just beautiful. And in fact, I'm reading a book about it in 2 weeks.
And it's an epistolary book too. It's written in letters. And I read an interview with Ann Patchett, who had recommended the book, which I think is, she is such a queen maker as well, saying it's such a unicorn of a book and the epistolary style should not appeal to readers, but it does. And I think it's just such a great object lesson in many things. First of all, Virginia Evans has been writing for years and years and years and years and years and years just because she's a writer. And then this book is having this mad breakout success that nobody could have predicted. And I also think, people would say like, "Oh, this is a book that's written all in letters, and what is the hook there? And like, what is the big story there? Readers are not going to like that, blah, blah, blah." I don't think you should ever sell readers short. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to read this book. This is actually on top of my TBR list for that reason, because I think readers just really love a good story, whatever form it is in. And anybody who thinks that he or she knows or they know what readers are going to do next and are like buying books accordingly, like, don't do that. Just, buy a book and put it out there because it's a good book. And if you love a book, recommend it to other people because that is how they grow. So I'm very excited to read The Correspondent. And I have some other books. Yeah, same. Oh my gosh. My niece is sending me her Christmas list right now that does not include books. My latest text says for headscarf inspo. So I'm going to be showing you book covers on my phone that I'm looking forward to in 26, but you may also get my niece's headscarf inspo and stacking ring inspo. So there's that. We have so many blazers publishing in 26, you guys, that I have made t-shirts for everybody that say the 26ers, like we are the 26 club. There are so many excellent books coming out in 26 from blazers and not blazers. So I will start with the people who are not immediately in the Blaze group, but are really close and dear to me. One of them is Peter Heller. Oops, there's my ring light, which I don't need on there either. You guys have seen me interview Peter a couple times on Blaze. Also, Caroline has interviewed him on Blaze. He writes incredibly beautifully about nature and about natural things, and yet his books always have a story to them. And this book is about a translator of Japanese poetry who moves to the wilderness and the effects of the wilderness and the translator upon each other. It actually came out first as I believe, an audiobook several years ago, and now it's being reissued by Viking, which Peter told me when I wrote to him and said, how the hell are you putting out such good books so fast? Which is literally what I wrote to him in an email. And he's like, well, I actually kind of already wrote this one, but he's so great. So look for The Orchard if you're a Peter Heller fan, which I obviously am. And weirdly, his editor, Jenny Jackson, has a new book coming out. Jenny is both an editor and an author. You may know her from her smash bestseller, Pineapple Street. She edits Peter. She edits Chris Bajalian. She edits Courtney Sullivan, J. Courtney Sullivan. She edits Kevin Kwan. So some of our favorite authors she's the editor for. And she writes these deliciously funny, hilarious books. And her newest one, The Shampoo Effect, is coming out in 26 as well. I'm going to say June. That's my guess. So either May or June. I would look out for it then. My dear, dear friend and mentor, Chris Castellani, has a book coming out called Last Scene. Chris, like me, is pivoting from writing literary fiction to writing a thriller. And I'm more known for historical fiction, and Chris is known for literary fiction. In his last book, which was called Leading Men, the New York Times called him F. Scott Fitzgerald and said he had opaline prose. And I was like, I would get that as a tramp stamp if I were you, quite honestly. I mean, that is pretty amazing. Last Scene is his first thriller. It is very literary, so it kind of reminded me of T.S. Eliot in some ways, because it has this like beautiful, pervasive despair to it, but it's also super sexy time. And it's about a whole bunch of lost boys who were killed by the smiley face killer and how they got lured into being killed. And there's a lot of sex in it and a lot of death in it. So Chris and I are doing an event at Politics and Prose on March 5th called The Sex and Death Conversation, because both of us are writing sexy, deathy books now. But this one is about, partly narrated by the Lost Boys. They each are frozen under a different river in the country. In this country. They each have a section talking about what happened to them. And then we also see from the points of view of the people who love them the most, what they think happened to them. So this is Last Scene that is out in February 17th, I believe. Okay, let's move on to some. This is adjacent Blazer. Our friend Edwin Hill, who's been on the Blaze many times, he's also a thriller author. He has been in workshop with every Blazer who has been in my workshop. His book, What Happened Next, is a sort of a not really a Rashomon, but it's about a boy who's an infant when his family is killed, and him trying to piece together on a podcast what happened. I'm obsessed with this cover. Like, I just love this cover. I think it's just so atmospheric. And What Happened Next is out on St. Patrick's Day 2026. So if you love thrillers, pick up Last Scene and What Happened Next. And on to our Blazers. Joe Moldover, The End of Reckoning, has a new book. This is one of our Authors Love Bookstores interviewers, y'all. Joe Moldover had a book out in 24 called Just Until, and this is his newest, To the End of Reckoning, which is about a young man who has a brain injury trying to piece together with his dad. So there's a sort of like Frasier aspect to it that I greatly appreciate. A mystery about something that happened in their town. And it's really funny and very smart, as Joe is, and very wry. So if you like books about mysteries, about families, if you like books that are like really funny about people, about their underlying psychology, To the End of Reckoning, this is for you. And I'm out of book covers, but I'm not out of Blazers. So give me 1 second. And the reason that I don't have these Blazers covers up yet is that they have not been invented yet. But Ellen mentioned Stargazer of Nantucket, which we are very excited about. Julie Gerstenblatt, if you love historical fiction, if you love Nantucket, doesn't love both those things, that's out in June 26th. And Kimberly Hensel-Lawrence, who is our other Authors Love Bookstores interviewer, has a book coming out in 26. It does not yet have a cover, but it is called What Remains of You. And it's about a woman who gets a mysterious box from her husband after he died, like a time capsule. And then she has to reckon with some of the secrets that he's kept from her that are in this time capsule. And Trisha Blanchett, who we mentioned earlier, our podcast director, also has a new book coming out. And I can't even tell you the title because her publisher is changing it. In fact, she just sent me a list of prospective titles today. It was called Mill City Murder because it's a speculative thriller set in the city of Lowell, which is also called Mill City here in Massachusetts. But now they're going to call it something else. And it's about a young woman with supernatural powers trying to solve mysteries in our lovely state of Massachusetts. And it is, like Trisha herself, super funny, super dark, super wry. It's like as acerbic as a good cup of coffee. So we have Trisha, we have Joe, we have Kimberly, we have Edwin, we have all of these people. I'm so excited for all of our 26ers. It's going to be an amazing year. So you think your TBRs are big now? Just wait, people. It's going to be a nutty 26, and I am here for all of it.
Cool.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I didn't realize so many Blazers were coming out with books.
I know. Yeah. The only problem with it is that I think we're going to be crisscrossing a lot of events. So a lot of the events that I want to go to, I'll be like, oh, crap, I have an event that night. I can't go to your event. But that is a good problem to have. So
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For those of you who've been watching and supporting us on the Blaze for so many years, 6 years now, we're going to have our going into our 7th year in 2026. And have our 6th birthday, which is astonishing. And you all know that we are practicing creatives here. And so like Ellen is a writer, Karen is a writer and a photographer. And Karen, can you put your photography website in the chat, please? I know you're too modest to do that, but please do it. And she has amazing photos. And so all of us are practicing creatives, and it's such a joy to see such a big batch of us putting out all of our work at the same time. So please buy Blaze books, please buy books from indie bookstores, please buy books from Bookshop, buy books from Libro. Have yourselves a merry little Christmas, a happy Hanukkah, a great Kwanzaa. We're so delighted that you're here every week for the Blaze, watching our interviews and supporting authors and books, and we just could not be more grateful.
Thanks, everybody. This was fun.
Always.
Yeah. It's always a delight.
Cheers to a happy new year.
Bye, happy holidays.
Yeah, happy new year. Get yourself some nog. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you on the flip side.